All right, welcome everyone. My name is Cindy Nellis. I'm the director of the Clarion University Small Business Development Center, and I welcome you to today's webinar on Women-Owned Small Business Certification for Government Contracting. We're glad that you're here. I'm going to share my screen. The Small Business Development Center here at Clarion University is excited to partner with the Northwest Procurement Technical Assistance Center and the North Central Procurement Technical Assistance Center to offer you today's webinar. A few logistics following today's webinar. This is always the question that everyone asks. You will be receiving the PowerPoint presentation and a link to the recording. And we also want to share with you a few flyers to some upcoming webinars. I do want to let you know that all participants have been muted and your video disabled. So if you have a question for our presenters, we would ask that you enter them into the chat, and we'll do our best to answer the questions throughout today's webinar. Please note that the webinar is being recorded. So before we get started, I wanted to introduce you to the Small Business Development Center. The Small Business Development Center here is located at Clarion University. We're one of 16 centers. We are part of a statewide network. All of our SBDCs in Pennsylvania are located in institutions of higher education. So depending on where you are, you can see which SBDC would cover your county. We are funded through state and federal tax dollars, as well as funding through the university. So what do we do? Our mission is to help businesses start, grow, and succeed. We do that by providing education through our one-on-one business consulting services. We provide information and tools that help you make better business decisions. We utilize resources that we have within our center, as well as throughout our statewide network, as well as our national network. We are part of the Americas SBDC, and we tap into those national resources as well to help you. The important thing is that we're here to provide our consulting services. They're provided at no cost and they're confidential. We work with prospective entrepreneurs and existing small businesses. Today's webinar is an example of the types of training that we do. Our training right now is primarily no cost. Typically it's no cost or low cost, and we provide training in a variety of topics. Some of them are listed here. And again, we're excited to be partnering with our PTAC centers in our region to bring this great topic to you today. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our speakers. And Melissa, if you'd like to share your screen, we'll turn it back over to you. We have two speakers today. Melissa Becker is with our Northwest Commission Procurement Technical Assistance Center. She is their government contracting specialist. And we also have Barbara Brennan from the North Central Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and she is their procurement outreach specialist. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Welcome everyone today, and happy Women's Small Business Month, which is exactly why we are giving this presentation. So we're going to talk about how the women-owned small business certifications fit into government contracting. Oh, and on my slide, there we go. Sorry, my slides weren't advancing there. And again, of course, we want to thank Clarion University for hosting this this webinar, and for North Central PA Commission's PTAC for also being a part of that today. Barbara is going to be speaking at the end of this presentation to give you a little bit more information on exactly what PTAC is. At the Northwest Pennsylvania Regional Planning and Development Commission, I'm of course in the PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, but the Northwest Commission offers other programs as well, other business development programs, business financing, exporting assistance. North Central Commission very similar. And as Cindy had said, you know, as we go through, please use that chat box for questions. Just is a little easier to kind of watch one box instead of the Q&A and the chat box. So please feel free to put your questions there, and I'll kind of pause every now and again to check that out. And we'll also, of course, at the end, if you've got questions, happy to answer those. So today, these are the topics that I'd like to cover with you in the next hour. You know, woman-owned small business. You may hear me say WOSB or WOSB. So many acronyms in government contracting, so I may say WOSB quite a bit. So we're going to talk about how WOSB fits into federal and state contracting, regulations and eligibility requirements. Of course, you know, how and where you get certified. And then we kind of close it out with some things to think about, and of course, resources that we always like to share. And then, of course, as I noted, Barbara will be talking more about exactly what PTAC is for those of you on the line who are not familiar or may not already be working with PTAC. So again, as I said, certifications we're going to talk about today. Federal level, the WOSB program, Women-Owned Small Business, and EDWOSB, which is Economically Disadvantaged Women-Owned Small Business certifications for federal level contracting. Then I'm going to cover woman-owned certifications for doing business with Department of Transportation or subcontracting with DOT, PennDOT contractors. And then we're going to talk about Pennsylvania's state level contracting. They have a program for small diverse businesses, and that's where woman-owned fits in that category. So in general, eligibility requirements for any one of these that we're going to talk about today, for that WOSB certification, of course, it's woman-owned small business, so you've got to be small. Federal government measures what small is a little differently than states. Every state, of course, is going to have their own rules. On the federal level, SBA sets size standards for every NAICS code. NAICS code is North American Industry Classification System codes. So you choose the codes that fit your industry or capabilities of your business. If you're under that threshold, which is either based on number of employees or sales, if you're under that threshold, you are small in federal contracting. Now with the state, there's a different process. PA Department of General Services Bureau of Diversity, Inclusion, and Small Business Opportunities has set their definition of small, which we'll get into later in the presentation. So first you've got to be small. And then the ownership rules in general, majority ownership of the company, 51% or more by one or more women. And that also is control. Majority control falls in that definition of, you know, the 51%, majority ownership and control. So by control, they in general mean, you know, the woman or the women owners are managing the day-to-day operations, making long-term, short-term decisions. That woman or women hold the highest positions in the company. They're the decision maker, work full-time at the company. And I like to share this. As I said, that all the acronyms in government contracting can become confusing. So I always try to include this in the slide deck. So later on, when you're referring back to your notes, looking through these slides, listening to the recording, you can see what some of these abbreviations mean. All right, so we're going to start out talking about federal level contracting and how that woman-owned small business certification fits there. So in federal government contracting, the government has established goals so that small businesses can get a fair share of those federal dollars. We call those they may set aside contracts, meaning that only businesses that fit in that category, that socioeconomic category, are the only ones that can bid on that opportunity. So each federal agency has an annual goal. In general, it's 23% across the board going to small business. And I do believe that that may be rising to 25% in the near future. And then as far as the socioeconomic categories, you see there are 5% for woman-owned small businesses, 5% contracts for small disadvantaged businesses, 3 for hub zone, 3 for service disabled veteran-owned. So there's no order of precedence that agencies should, it's not like they are trying to make one of those socioeconomic groups more important than the other. They're all equal. Of course, the one exception is the VA. VA does do what's called vets first. So they always try to do their procurements with veteran or service disabled vets first. So when we're talking about the federal WOSB program, this specific program, again, allows contracting officers, those in charge of those procurements going out, they can set aside contracts for women-owned small businesses and economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses in eligible NAICS codes. And we'll get into that point a little bit further. Contracting officers now have the ability to sole source awards, meaning it doesn't go out for competition. They're aware of a WOSB or ED WOSB that's capable of doing the work, and they can award it directly without it going out for bid and competition. Of course, there's specific circumstances that apply there. And SBA is the organization, Small Business Administration, implements and administers that federal WOSB program. Oh, I apologize, my slides advanced. As of last year, so we're going to be talking about some updates. As of last year, there used to be the option of a self-certification for this federal program. That's gone away. It's now all fully in a full certification that SBA handles now. And then, of course, in government contracting, there are laws and regulations that apply to everything. So we just had a link there to, exactly where eligibility requirements are spelled out in Code of Federal Regulation. So for eligibility requirements for the federal WOSB program, you must be a small business based on your primary NAICS code. So you choose your own NAICS codes. You will usually, typically, you choose one that's a primary code. I have a link there to the SBA's table of small business size standards by NAICS code. So if you wanted to, look at that, and if we have time at the end, perhaps I can open that up. And you'll see every NAICS code listed. It's a threshold maximum number of employees or sales. If you're under that, you're small. So your business has to be small, organized for profit, be at least 51% unconditionally and directly owned and controlled by one or more women who are US citizens. In general, that ownership may not be through another business or entity. And there's just another definition of what they're meaning by control: long-term decision-making, you're managing day-to-day operations, highest officer in the company. You're working at the business full-time during normal business hours for that business. And you have to be based in the US. And just a quick note, women-owned small business and economically disadvantaged women-owned small business. Things that are set aside for WOSB and ED WOSB can bid on those. So I just put this graphic up so people understand that, every economically disadvantaged women-owned small business is considered for an ED WOSB set aside or just a WOSB set aside. But it doesn't work the other way. If you're a woman-owned small business and not an ED WOSB, you cannot ever be considered for an ED WOSB set aside. So when we're talking about the economically disadvantaged requirements for the WOSB program, of course, you're going to meet all the requirements of the WOSB that we just talked about. And then where the economically disadvantaged aspect comes into play, owned and controlled by one or more women, each with a personal net worth not more than $750,000, be owned and controlled by one or more women, each whose average adjusted gross income for 3 years is under $350,000 and have 6 million or less in business assets. That's just how they define what they consider that economic disadvantage. And again, a note there on where that regulation is, if you really want to read through, that's, you know, that's the resource there. You can literally read through the regulation as it is written. And also, as we get into this, we're talking about where you go to certify for this. SBA has a certify website, and they have a preliminary assessment that you can run through and answer quick Q&A, and it'll give you a quick answer, yes or no, you would qualify for this one or the other WOSB or WOSB programs. So when I talked about the NAICS codes, this is one unique aspect of the Women-Owned Small Business Federal Contracting Program. So when a contracting officer sets something aside, it has, if they want to set it aside for WOSB or ED WOSB, they have to look at the NAICS code on that procurement. So every procurement that goes out by a federal agency is assigned a NAICS code. There are only certain NAICS codes that can be, like I said, set aside for this group, for WOSB or WOSB. They determine these industries as being underutilized or underrepresented by women-owned businesses. I don't know exactly, I couldn't tell you exactly how they determine that, but if someone wanted to know, I definitely would find the answer for you. But there's a listing that SBA offers, pardon me. Just like that size standard for NAICS, there's a list that SBA has of all the qualifying NAICS codes. So you want to make sure your NAICS code is on that list, your primary NAICS code is on that list, because a lot of these places you wouldn't even be able to start your certification if you're not in one of those industries. And well, again, we can probably take a look at that if we've got time at the end, but there it is, and it'll be, you'll get the slides and the link will be there. So continuing with those, unique aspects of the federal WOSB program. So when getting certified to be recognized as eligible for this program, for those set-asides, you have to go to the SBA's website. We call it the Certify site. It's beta.certify.sba.gov. You're going to upload your documents proving your eligibility. And again, my note there, the update for this for now is current update is that last year the self-certification went away. So now you have to apply for the full certification, where SBA is going to review those documents that you submit and approve or deny you. So that's why that next item is crossed out. There used to be when it was self-certification, it was up to the contracting officer, the buying officer, to review those documents that you uploaded to SBA. But now that SBA is doing the certification, they're reviewing all of those things themselves. So when we talk about in the federal contracting program, thinking about why do you think you need WOSB certification for federal contracting? Is it for subcontracting to a prime? Do you have a customer that holds a government contract that's asking you if you're certified or not? Are you going to go after those yourself? Some things to think about. And of course, you can always contact PTAC, and we're here to assist. So the eligibility requirements, what the program looks like on the federal level, now your certification options. So you're going to get your certification through SBA, or you can get a certification from a third-party certifier, TPC. But either way, whichever option you choose, you still have to go to SBA's Beta Certify site and upload your documents, whether that's all the supporting documents SBA is asking for, or if you already did that and gave a third party those documents and they approved you, you just need that certificate from that third party and you still will upload it to the SBA site. So that first option, certification from the SBA. So of course, you're going to determine your NAICS codes, right? You need to do that anyway when you're going to be getting your DUNS number and registering in System for Award Management. Both of those things are free. You're going to need to know your NAICS codes anyway, but you also want to make sure your primary NAICS code fits into this program. Getting a DUNS number is free. PTAC can help you with that. Registering in what's called System for Award Management, or SAM.gov, is also free. Just have a quick note there, DUNS is going to be phased out next year, but for the time being, before you can ever register in SAM, you've got to get a DUNS. Again, things we can help you with. PTAC counselors will come and help you do your System for Award Management registration as well. That could take an hour or two. We help you understand that and prepare for that. So once you've gotten your NAICS codes, you've gotten your DUNS number set up, you're registered in SAM. Now you can go to SBA's Beta Certify site and you will register there. You're going to complete that online application and upload the required documentation. SBA is going to review that. Once you're approved, you will be, you can go into your SAM registration. When you're in SAM, it asks you about your socioeconomic status. You can choose WOSB in your SAM registration. And one of the newer changes now is that linked to your SAM registration is what's called the Dynamic Small Business Search, which is run by SBA. When you are approved by the SBA, when you're certified through betacertify.sba.gov, your status of having that certification should automatically appear in your profile that's linked to SAM. And this has an annual update renewal. Just like with your SAM too, you have to do an update and renewal there. So this is the free option. So it's free to go to the site, register, upload your documentation, wait for your review. They probably will be in contact with you to interview or ask questions so that they can approve or deny your application. That process is free. The other option, if you choose to go to what's called a third-party certifying organization, you would still take that certificate and show it to SBA by uploading it to the SBA site. This one, those third-party groups have fees involved. They have membership fees, annual membership fees, and you typically get the certification as part of your membership. So some people may choose this option. They like the other benefits offered by these organizations. But it's up to you. Just to let you know, there's that free first option is the free option. So again, you're going to determine your NAICS codes, obtain a DUNS number, register in SAM.
Melissa?
Yes.
We have a question in chat regarding the DUNS number, so I thought I would interrupt you. So Melissa had applied for a DUNS in July, end of July, and when she doesn't have it yet, and when she called customer service, they tried to sell her a program which was $899 twice. Are you familiar with why they would be charging?
No, I am not. And I'm glad you asked that question because it should be free. There's a web form, Dun & Bradstreet. They have a web form process you can go through when you go to the DUNS web form site. They have you do a search for your company first to make sure you don't already have a DUNS. When you go through that process, if you're not, if it's not showing you have a DUNS, you can request one electronically through their web form. And at one point it asks, why are you getting it? And one of the choices is you should choose for federal contracting. And that should be free. Now I know Dun & Bradstreet charges fees for other products they sell, but the DUNS should be free. And like I said, next year, the federal government basically had a contract with Dun & Bradstreet as that source. The DUNS number was the source of a unique identifying number for every company that wanted to register in System for Award Management. SAM is the federal government site. They're doing away with that. Now, at some point next year, we're waiting to see how it's going to happen, but it should be a smooth transition. when you register in SAM, you will just have a unique entity ID assigned to you. So I would say, I'll make a phone. I'll have to call Dun & Bradstreet today to find that out, because as far as I understood, it was still free until they make that transition. But that's a good question. Thanks for making that point. I will, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make a note that I'm gonna make a phone call, talk to DMB customer service today and find out. And also the federal service desk. But as far as I'm aware, it should be free for now.
Okay, maybe we can, once you get some information, we can send that out following today's webinar as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Dun should be free. SAM registration is also free. That's one you definitely have to watch out for. If you go to the wrong website, you'll go through all the steps and they're going to charge you some money. And that's not the case. SAM is always free if you do it yourself. PTAC can help you for free also. And renewing your SAM is always free.
Thanks.
Okay.
Melissa.
Thank you, Cindy, for pointing that out. And thanks, Melissa, for asking that or bringing that point up. I will check into that and send Cindy follow-up on that. Okay, so back to our third-party certifying option for the federal WOSB program. So these are the organizations that SBA will accept certification from. Now, they're not federal agencies, these are membership organizations. So like I said, they're going to have membership fees. For example, the WeBank, Women's Business Enterprise National Council, I know they charge an annual fee. It's a sliding scale based on, you know, the size of your company, your sales, and what they charge an annual fee. And with that annual fee, you can get your federal WOSB certification. So if you choose this option, you will probably be giving very similar documentation and other, you know, paperwork to these organizations to prove you qualify for the program. You meet all the eligibility requirements. They're going to review it, whatever they do with interviews or whatever, and if they approve you, you get a certificate from them. You still go to the beta site, the SBA site, and upload that certificate. And again, you can put that you are woman-owned small business in your SAM registration. And my note again there, that's a new update, that in your dynamic small business search profile linked to your SAM, once approved, it should automatically show there. And again, this annual update and renewal with those third-party certifiers to maintain that WOSB or ED WOSB certification. Okay.
Melissa, we have another question.
Sure.
It looks like there are 2 WOSB numbers that cover what her business does, what Jessica's business does. Can she register for both, or how would she select it?
Okay, if you're referring to your NAICS code, when you go into SAM, you put in all the NAICS codes that are applicable to your business. And at one point you were going to select your primary NAICS. When you're putting in your NAICS codes, you have to determine one is your primary. And that's how, at this moment, unless something changes, that's how they're, you know, when you go in to apply in the certify site, they're going by your primary NAICS. So as long as one, you know, your primary that you determine is your primary, you should be fine on that. So you don't really register your NAICS code. You're registering your business, but you know, they're looking at your NAICS codes in your SAM registration. Select that one as primary. And I know that's a good question. Somebody's asking, why would anyone pay for the third party when there's a free option? Well, before there was not before SBA's certification, it was a self-cert. And sometimes people were not doing the self-cert correctly, but they were saying they were woman-owned because they uploaded paperwork, which may or may not have been the correct paperwork. So some people went with the third-party option there. And SBA just wants to leave that option there. So if you self-certified, that doesn't work anymore, but now you don't have to pay for the full certification if you go through SBA. Like I said, some people like that membership to that organization. They may get other benefits and opportunities from being a member of those organizations. So that's always just somebody's just choice. I never tell anybody what to do. I'm always just going to let you decide for your own business choices, but I, will always let you know if there's a free option and what what your choices look like. And I honestly, the third-party benefits, you'd have to, those links go to their websites and you can check those out. They're not a government agency, so I'm not 100% familiar with all of their member benefits that they offer. And as I understand, you have to keep your certification updated annually with all the organizations, including the SBA certification. Okay. Quick notes here on the updates for the federal program. Again, as I said over and over, last October, this time last year, they did away with the self-cert. So if you had been self-certifying all this time and you assumed you're still eligible for the WOSB federal set-aside program, you are not. You have to go through a full certification by SBA or a full certification by one of those 4 organizations listed there. And there's that note, they've continued to allow participation from those third-party certifiers, but you still got to upload that certificate. There's now a logo. I was excited to hear about that finally. When you're approved by SBA or you put your certificate from a third party into the certify site, the SBA certify site, I'm told that you are then emailed access to the official SBA Women-Owned Small Business or ED WOSB logo with some rules on how you can use that. But that's nice. You can use that on, like a capability statement or other marketing pieces. So I understand that you cannot actually put it on any products themselves. But that was, I was happy to hear about that. I'd been asking about that for years. And the link there is just another resource fact sheet that SBA put out about the updates that happened last year. Okay, let's see. No more questions at the moment. We're going to continue.
Melissa, there's one more question. Jessica
Sure.
asks if she has to recertify. So I'm assuming that she already went through the certification process. And Jessica, if that's incorrect, you can clarify. But if she's already certified, does she have to recertify?
It's an annual renewal. Yeah, so I know those third-party groups, every year you just have to prove that you still qualify or you're still eligible for the federal program. Same with, you have to renew your SAM every year. And I do believe you have to go back into the certify site if you certified through SAM and show that you're still meeting the requirements annually.
Thanks, Melissa.
Sure. So in the federal program, preparing the documentation we talked about that you're going to upload. Whoops, there we go. There's a nice list that I would tell you to go to the link here to the Beta Certify site. Nice list there, but they break it down from women-owned small business and economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. This gives you an idea of the kind of paperwork you're going to gather and get together when it's time for you to do your certification. And again, that ED WOSB, same things, but you're giving personal financial information to show that you meet the economically disadvantaged aspect of the program. And just some quick notes on the, some quick notes I like to mention when we're talking about the federal program. When you get a third party, if you choose to get the third party certification, some of those groups have what's called a WBE or a WOSB certification. make sure if you're getting this for purposes of federal level contracting that you're asking for the federal WOSB certification. I know WeBank does that. WeBank offers a WBE. That's something you could use in the commercial world. And then at no extra charge, they'll do the federal WOSB certification. So you're just going to make sure you're getting that federal, if that's the purpose you're getting it for federal contracting or federal subcontracting. And then in the SAM registration, if you're ever at all familiar with SAM, when you get into SAM, like I said, you choose your socioeconomic status. And again, hopefully this may be getting cleared up or cleaned up in SAM with SBA taking over, but there's options there for a women-owned business or WOSB. And as it was explained to me by someone at SBA, you shouldn't be checking off the WOSB option unless you actually went through the certification and you have it. But I don't think it'll hurt. If you're not small business, but you're still woman-owned, definitely check off woman-owned business. And I would tell you, check off woman-owned business, until you get officially the WOSB certification. Again, any of these things, it is confusing. Always feel free to reach out to PTAC and we will we'll help you understand it and take it step by step through everything so we can clear it up for you. So I just make this chart at the end of each section so you can kind of get a look at which organizations are where to certify. So if you're a woman-owned small business, you want to be eligible for the federal WOSB or ED-WOSB program. These are your options. You can get the full certification from SBA where you're going to their site, you're uploading your documents to SBA. You can do that for the WOSB and ED WOSB. Or you can go to one of those third-party certifiers and you'll see WeBank does not do economically disadvantaged certification. So with those 4 there, again, you get your certificate from them. You're going to provide them what they ask for certification. Probably a lot of paperwork, interview, things like that. You get a certificate from them, you still have to go back to the SBA site and upload that certificate. Okay, so I'm going to just take a quick pause and look here.
There's one more question. Is it advisable to obtain WOSB cert first and then ED WOSB? Time to certification is challenging.
I mean, I think if you qualify for ED WOSB, I just do that. I mean, it wouldn't hurt if you want to just get WOSB and then do the economically disadvantaged, but I would say if you qualify, just go for the economically disadvantaged. And I see another question in the Q&A. How long does it take? Yeah, I hate to say it, but I know this program, since the switch just happened, as you saw last year, SBA is inundated with applications. I've heard from PTAC counselors across the country. In fact, we just had a nationwide chat about this. A lot of people are waiting a long time to get their federal WOSB or ED WOSB applications processed by SBA. I mean, I heard people saying they've been waiting months. So that, unfortunately, I hate to, break that news to you, but with that one, of course, with anything government contracting, patience is a virtue. You just have to know there's going to be paperwork and not fun stuff, a lot of waiting. But we also know, we have some direct contact with those folks running that WOSB program. So if people were having serious issues, we have people we can do our best to reach and see what's going on with that, why it's taking so long or to get somebody's process through. Yes, sorry about, that is disappointing, but hopefully they're going to get that cleaned up. There's somebody new running that program, and hopefully they're going to get that cleaned up. So I'm going to move on now. We're switching gears. So we're talking federal contracting. Now I'm moving on to woman-owned certifications. If you're contracting or subcontracting, for Department of Transportation funded projects. Now, of course, DOT is a federal agency, but DOT has their own program and rules. And this would apply for PennDOT, Ohio DOT. If you have a company where you are doing a lot of contracting or subcontracting on DOT projects, they're going to use different language, a different certification that they're looking for. Okay, so we're talking Department of Transportation. Federal use was called WOSB or ED-WOSB, WOSB, ED-WOSB. Department of Transportation is called DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. So if you qualify, you would want to get certified as a DBE, and then you can show, you know, maybe if you're a customer, a prime contractor asking you, if you have this certification, you'll get a certificate you can show them, or if you're applying directly to DOT for a contractor, PennDOT, or any other state's DOT. Again, they've got their rules, Code of Federal Regulation rules that this is all based off of. And the DBE program requires that all U.S. Department of Transportation recipients of federal assistance participate. So there's one program, the Unified Certification Program, where you get certified for purposes of DOT, DBE contracting. So Unified Certification Program, UCP. One stop where you're gonna go get your certification. Very similar to the WomenOwned. You go online, there's paperwork you're gonna submit. They do a site visit. I'm not sure with COVID how that's going now, but those agencies that are approved to do the UCP certification will come do a site visit and interview and review your paperwork and against those federal regulations, Code of Federal Regulations, to ensure that you are, to verify that you meet the requirements. This one is also a free certification. There's a database of DBEs online. That's how people can find you. If they are doing a prime contract and there's goals on there for DBEs, there's an online database where they can search and find who is certified. And a note, first-time applicants, you're gonna complete and submit the application, supporting documentation as noted, and then do that site visit and interview. You have to get certified in your home state first. So if you, of course, if you're based in PA, you're gonna do the PA UCP, but then you decide there's opportunities with Ohio DOT, you would then get UCP certified through Ohio. You're just gonna do their paperwork. They weren't gonna do the site visit. And here's those eligibility requirements for DBE. You know, not too different than some of the WOSB or ED-WOSB requirements. 51% ownership and control. Since this is called a disadvantaged business enterprise, what they mean by disadvantaged is social and economic disadvantage. Social disadvantage for this particular program, they have presumed groups, and you'll see women fall into that, one of those groups. Economic disadvantage, to qualify for this program, personal net worth cannot exceed 1.32 million. So, and again, like the control, you know, long-term decisions, that disadvantaged owner, day-to-day management, full-time during normal business hours, it's a for-profit company, permanent resident or US citizen, you're small for your NAICS codes, again, it's a small business program. Your gross annual receipts cannot exceed 23.98 million. There's a link there to more definitions of that disadvantage status. So, Pennsylvania Unified Certification Program. To get certified for PA, of course, like I said, you have to certify in the state where your business is located. And then if you decide you want to do New York DOT work or Ohio DOT work, West Virginia DOT work, anywhere else, you've got to do that UCP for that state, the paperwork for that state. There's the website where you're going to go to. to begin the online application process. You can also access paper forms via the PennDOT site. There's a link there. The online submission process, and again, this is pretty new. I'm talking about updates for this year. The PAUCP site has been revamped quite a bit. It looks a lot different than it used to not too long ago. So when you go to that paucp.dbesystem.com site, there's the place where you can, to begin your application, you're going to choose one of the certifying agencies, which I list on the next slide. To create an account there, then you can go on to the online application form, the list of supporting documents you need. You can look at that link I have there is the actual paper form, application form for DBE. The last page of it lists supporting documentation. So any of these certifications, I'd always tell you, let's get the paperwork and prepare, get all that stuff together first, and then go to this website you need to go to complete the application. And there's also, with this one, because of economic disadvantage, there's a personal net worth statement. That link also takes you to the actual paper PDF document, so you can see what to expect there. So these are the organizations that you would submit your application to. So when you go to that PAUCP site, you'll see the logos for each one of these organizations. You can choose any one. They're all doing the exact same thing. Some people think, I've heard somebody say to me, they were getting DBE for PennDOT specifically, and they were told they had to choose the PennDOT as the one to review their application. That's not the case. Any one of these groups can review and approve or deny you for DBE certification. It's up to you who you want to choose. We sometimes suggest, we're in Western PA, if they're going to come do a site visit, maybe it's better to choose one that's in our side of the state, but really you can choose any one of these. And again, this one has an annual renewal. There's an affidavit that you submit showing that you still meet the qualifications for the program. Some things to think about when you're doing this certification, when they're looking at your size and other qualifications. Does the majority of your contacts come from only one company? If that's the case, they're going to think, see you as being affiliated with that company, which then may not make you a small business. Do other family members own other businesses? Do you own other businesses? Do you share space or equipment with other companies? How much do other members of your family have involvement in the company? These are just, I know, some of the things that go back to the regulations that they look at. And again, there's no minimum amount of time to be in business, really, for any of these certifications I'm talking about today. We just usually advise 2 years in business is a good idea when you're going for really any certification. Definitely, jumping into government contracting, you need to be a stable company ready to take that jump into that market. And we'll do this chart and then I'll check for questions. So this is the chart to be eligible for Department of Transportation DBE status. You'll see there's only one option, Unified Certification Program. And like I noted, you have to apply in your home state first, where your company is based, and then you can get certified in other states if you choose. Okay. Somebody's asking, why do they require to see personal net worth statement? That's because that is one of the eligibility requirements for DBE. That's the economic disadvantage that you have to show you meet the requirements, you're eligible for that. Hopefully that answered that question. Okay. Anybody, if there are any questions right now, go ahead and put those in the chat box. We'll just take a break for a quick second before we move on to the next section. Go ahead.
I don't see any other questions at this point. And
Okay.
they're asking about the PowerPoint slides and the recording, and we'll cover that at the end.
Yes. And as Barbara's going to point out to you, any of these things we're talking about, if you need help with it, please reach out to PTAC. We are a free resource to assist with government contracting questions. All right, moving on to state. So if you're looking at doing state level contracting, and I'm specifically, of course, going to talk about Pennsylvania. Other states may have similar programs where they may set things aside or recognize certain socioeconomic groups. But specifically, we're talking about Pennsylvania state level contracting. So all these different levels of government are basically, different animals when we talk about government contracting: federal contracting, state government contracting, and we also help and discuss local government contracting too when we talk about government contracting. So on the state level in Pennsylvania, now we had federal program using the terms WOSB and EDWOSB. Department of Transportation uses the term disadvantaged business enterprise for their program. And in Pennsylvania, the program that women-owned businesses fall under is called Small Diverse Business, SDB. So PA Department of General Services has a Bureau of Diversity, Inclusion, and Small Business Opportunities that manages this program. So in Pennsylvania, to be considered a small diverse business, you have to qualify in one of those groups listed there, and you'll see Women Business Enterprises is one of those groups. So for PA's SDB program, that Bureau of Diversity, Inclusion, and Small Business Opportunities, they actually refer to themselves as BDSBO. They verify that a small business is small, and then they verify further that you hold a certificate from a third party that you certify that you meet the diversity group. So this could be a reason why somebody did ask, why would somebody go for a third party? This could be a reason why. If you're looking at the federal program and state level, you'll see WeBank. The federal government and Pennsylvania both accept WeBank certification. And we just talked about PAUCP. The state recognizes PAUCP's certification for this program. So you have to get certified. You first self-certify as small with the state, which we'll talk about. And then you get your third-party certification from one of these three groups. PAUCP is free. WeBank charges a fee. The 8A program is an SBA business development program. That's free, but it's a full application. You have to apply to be approved for 8A. It's, like I said, it's a business development program. I think it's like a 9-year program. It's an intense process of application, but if somebody's interested in learning more about that, definitely happy to help them. Okay. Pennsylvania, small business. First, of course, all these programs are first small business programs. So in Pennsylvania, to be considered small, here are the requirements. Like federal government use NAICS codes, Pennsylvania has these 5 things. You have to be for-profit U.S. business, independently owned, not dominant in your field, no more than 100 full-time employees, and 3-year average gross revenue must be less than 38.5 million. So that's being small business. So first, to be recognized as a small business for Pennsylvania government contracting, you register in the PA supplier portal, free process, pretty simple process, but if you need help, we can help you. Then when you're registered in the supplier portal, you get what's called a vendor ID number, 6-digit number that shows you registered in the supplier portal. Then you're going to go to a separate website where you first self-certify that you're small, then you verify that you are small diverse. What that looks like is there's the website to the link. It's called PRISM. This also is a newer process in the last couple of years. So a lot of things changed with women-owned small business certifications in the last year or so. So when you go to the website, after you've registered in the supplier portal, you're going to go to the website, follow some quick navigation, which again, we can help you with, and there's a guide available. You'll see that last bullet is a nice step-by-step guide through the process. Now, we talked about the federal government using what's called NAICS codes. Pennsylvania, the industry codes that PA uses is called UNSPSC, United Nations Standard Product Service Codes. So when you're in the process of self-certifying as small, you select your NAICS codes. There's a search field there. We can also help you with that. You're going to upload your 3 most recent tax returns. That's proving that you, just to document that you're under those sales numbers. And then that's the self-certification is small. Then you got to upload your third-party certificate showing that you're woman-owned, that you've been certified as woman-owned. And that would be either the PAUCP certification, your certificate from WBEE, or your letter from 8A from SBA. And there's a few other things that you're gonna upload, which we'll get in detail here. So depending on which one of those third-party certifiers you choose for purposes of the Pennsylvania SDB program, WBEE, UCP, or 8A, you'll see there's just some additional things you may need to provide. That's just a chart. I literally copied and pasted that from the guide that they provide. And again, there's a database where companies can find you, and you can prove that you are, self-certified as small business and registered with PA, and or your small business and you verified and got certified as an SDB. There's the link to the database. And this one has a 2-year renewal on it. So yeah, PA Department of General Services wanted to give vendors a break, contractors a break. So they thought one less thing will make this a 2-year renewal instead of annual. And then the chart here, eligible as a woman-owned small diverse business for purposes of Pennsylvania state level contracting or subcontracting. You may have primes or customers that are trying to meet goals on the contract they hold. And they may be looking for you to have, if you qualify, this SDB from Pennsylvania. So you're going to see there your 3 options. You can get WBEE, Women's Business Enterprise National Council certification, and upload it to the PRISM site that PA runs. You can get your PAUCP, which is free, that we just talked about, and upload that. Or you can, if you qualify for SBA's 8A program and you have their letter from them, you can upload that. Now, I'm hoping one day, I've actually contacted BDSBO and asked the question, since SBA now has that free certification for federal woman-owned small business status for federal contracting, if Pennsylvania, BDSBO, will accept that for the SDB program for the state. They said they're reviewing it and it's under consideration. So hopefully that can be a second free option there. So we have 4 options, and 2 of them being free. Actually, 8A is also free. I apologize. 8A is also free. So the only one on there that has a fee is the WBEE. And the note that I made when we were talking about federal contracting, going to a third party, make sure you get their federal contracting WOSB certification. PA is a little different. They will accept the WBE certification or the WOSB certification from WBEE. So you don't have to, if you're not going to do federal contracting and you decide to go to WBEE, you can just do their Women Business Enterprise certificate. And in the case of UCP, say you're a company in Ohio and you want to qualify and you want to register with Pennsylvania as an SDB for government, Pennsylvania state government contracting, Pennsylvania will accept your Ohio UCP certificate. You don't have to have a PA. But if you're doing Penn, if you want to do PennDOT work, you've got to have that PA UCP. And I know this can be quite confusing. Probably lost some of you offline. We're right at 11 o'clock, so I'm going to wrap this up quickly. And again, you've got questions, put it in that chat box. Some final thoughts quickly. We get a lot of calls. Most of the calls I get, people asking for PTAC help, want to know about women-owned certification. And it's not a quick answer, as you see. We just talked about it for an hour. There's options. You got to think about why you're getting certified, why you think you need to be certified. If you have a customer that's specifically asking you for women-owned certification, try to find out exactly what certification they want or they will accept, because you see there's several options there. If you're familiar with federal contracting, you know about what a capability statement is. Always put your, certifications on there. And of course, always, we are here always as a free resource. Ask PTAC for help. And that's my final chart there, listing the different certification types and the options that you've got in those certifications. Are resources, finding NAICS codes, getting a DUNS number, which I have a note. I'm going to contact Dun & Bradstreet customer service about the fee on the DUNS. There's your SBA table of size standards by NAICS. Registering in SAM, please make sure you go to the right site. And please feel free to contact PTAC. We will help you with that. SBA's website about the federal WOSB program, the qualifying NAICS codes for the federal WOSB and WOSB program, the link to the beta certify site, the U.S. Department of Transportation's DBE program website with more information, the link to the PAUCP site, the Pennsylvania Supplier Portal, all kinds of resources there. A link to where you can see UNSPSC codes. You go to the bottom of that page, there's a resources list. It's there. And our PTAC websites for Northwest and North Central PA. And if any more questions, please feel free to type those in. I am going to, yes, you will receive the recording and slides. There's no way you're going to remember everything that I just threw at you. It's a lot, which is why PTACs even exist. This is just a tiny sliver of all the things in government contracting that you deal with. So we are definitely here as a resource. Thank you. Someone said information was super good. Thank you. And thanks for hanging in there. Like I said, it can get confusing. It turns into alphabet soup, but we're always here to help. I want to remind you to please complete Cindy's evaluation survey for the SBDC. And Barbara Brennan, now I'm going to give her the mic so she can give you kind of a brief info on more about PTAC. If you're not already familiar with us, please stay on. She's just going to talk for a couple minutes so you understand more about Procurement Technical Assistance Center, the program that I work for. So Barbara, if you wanted to jump on.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Melissa, for quite the presentation. Lots and lots of information. And thank you also, Cindy, for hosting. But just for 2 minutes, I just want to give you a brief overview of PTACs. We're a Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We're a nationwide network of procurement professionals working to bridge the gap between the buyer and the supplier. There are 96 PTACs across the U.S., all working towards the same goal of providing technical assistance to the interested supplier. Northwest Commission has 8 counties located in the Northwest region of the state. North Central 6-county area is part of a partnership consisting of North Central, Southern Alleghenies Planning and Development Commission, and Northern Tiers Planning and Development Commission. Our counties are located in the north central part of the state. Again, we are a bridge between the business and government. We're funded by federal and state matching funds. We serve businesses of all kinds. We are here, and we are also assigned to a geographical area. I also want to state that being that we are funded federal and state, that our services are provided for free. And our services consist of assessing vendors for government contracting. We assist with registrations and certifications. We identify government markets and specific contracting opportunities. We help prepare bid and proposals. We help with post-award contract performance. We conduct educational workshops, provide free bid match services. We help provide specs and standards. We provide you with knowledge and tools to successfully compete and goal win government contracts. Some examples of our services is we help with the registrations that Melissa's mentioned, the system for award management. We help with the PA supplier registrations and the PA small business certifications. We also give assistance to all the other small business registrations. PTACs are not able to provide general business or marketing assistance. We cannot write or submit proposals or bids. We're not able to determine or advise on pricing matters, and we are not allowed to market on the client's behalf. And some of the reasons for why you should sell to the government. The US government is the largest purchaser of goods and services in the world. The fiscal year 2020, the federal government spent over $6.55 billion on buying millions of different items. Your local and state federal governments can be potentially lucrative for your company also. And basically the government can be a loyal customer to you. The bottom line is we are here to help. Our services are for free. We can, Melissa did provide you with links to the Northwest Commission, North Central Commission. And if not, we can provide the links and our email addresses to you also. Thank you so much again for attending.
Oh, Kat, I think you were me. There you go.
Yep. Thanks, Barbara. And
Thank you.
to everyone here online who have attended today's webinar. And we will be sending out an evaluation. We just ask that you complete that. It's really important for us to get valuable feedback to help make future webinars and educational opportunity offerings most effective and productive for you. So your feedback is important. We can send the PowerPoint as well, and the recording, and then also information about future webinars. Now, what I'd like to do though, and I appreciate those who have stuck with us. I know that we are over time, but this is a great platform and a place to get your questions answered. And so we're happy to allow you to ask your questions. All you have to do is raise your hand and I can unmute you, and you can ask Barbara and Melissa your questions. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to do that. So we want to give you the chance to do that before we sign off today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Cindy and Barbara, for us all, working together to bring this to you for National Women's Small Business Month. Absolutely.
All right. I think that's, we don't have any other additional questions. And certainly, as Melissa has mentioned, our organizations are here to help you. We want to help you diversify and find other markets to sell your products and services to. So reach out to Northwest and North Central. The SBDC is here to help you as well. We partner together to make sure that you get as many services as you can. So thank you to everyone, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.